the Phrozen Mega Sonic 8K 3D printer. Let's give it a review. Hey guys, things have been moving fast in the 3D printing world recently, and something that's really got folks excited is the Phrozen Mega Sonic 8K. Not only does it promise us bigger resin prints than we've seen before, but it also gives us stupendous 8K resolution. So when Phrozen asked if I'd review one of their Megasonics, I snatched their hands off. The box it arrived in was huge, requiring 2 people to handle it safely. And once unwrapping was completed, it was obvious why. The Megasonic 8K truly is mega. This is not a printer for those with limited space. The size alone will restrict its sales to professionals and ultra enthusiasts, as, frankly, you need a lot of workshop space to house it. Just like with the Sonic 4K, it comes wrapped in super strong film, which gives you a sense that Phrozen really care about their products. No flimsy cling wrap for this printer. The removed wrappings allow us to see a solid metal casing. It's smooth, rigid and big. Did I mention it was big? It's big. 2 large metal doors with 3 hinges each fold back to reveal generous access to a cleverly packaged interior. Nothing should rattle around in transit here. Straight away, this gives us access to the truly immense build plate. And trust me, immense is a fair word to use. Here's the plate from the vegoilguy Saturn, and here's one from the Sonic 4K. It's obvious this printer is in a whole new arena. If you're wondering about the holes, I'll come to those in a moment. The resin tray is almost big enough to bathe a small family, and a quick showing of the vegoilguy Saturn plate again helps you visualise just how big this is. It has 2 sturdy handles and it locates squarely into the grooved base. Fixing and releasing is done via these screw bolts, which are fully removable and easily dropped and lost, so do be careful. Personally, I prefer the quick screw system on the Sonic 4K. Below this is the spirit of this machine, the much anticipated 8K monochrome screen. This has a resolution of 43 microns, which should give us wonderful crisp detail. Don't be fooled into thinking it will outprint Phrozen's awesome Sonic 4K, which has a resolution of 35 microns, but it's so close that you'll probably never tell the difference. The dual rails offer stability with their substantial width, hopefully making plate wobble something only other printers have to worry about. The Z-arm is equally wide, with 2 knobs to help secure the plate, which slides on smoothly. Returning to the outside, we see a generous sized display screen, which even my poor eyes can see with ease. The front also houses the USB port, which I typically don't like. But here there's so much distance between the screen and the port that neither interfere with the other. Looking closely at the rear shows us 2 fairly quiet fans. There's also the power switch and an Ethernet port. So it's big, solid, metallic and wholesome. It exudes quality and reliability. But does it print? When it comes to calibrating the print plate, there are 2 words. You don't. Okay, a little more is needed, I guess. These printers come pre-calibrated, and because of the sheer size of the plate, Phrozen don't recommend you calibrate it. Now this is an issue that I double checked on, and Phrozen are confident that unless there's been an angry courier involved somewhere, the printer should arrive perfectly calibrated. If you look at the booklet, it states, Phrozen offer a 1-year warranty on all parts except consumable components. This includes the LCD, FEP and building plate. So everything's covered for a year, right? Well, the next line goes on to say, the LCD for the Sonic Mega 8K is covered under a 3-month warranty, So that initial poorly worded sentence is actually saying if anything goes wrong after 3 months, you're pretty much on your own. Fortunately, my interpretation seems to be wrong, or maybe a rewrite of the booklet is necessary. The plate is covered by 12 months warranty it seems, and a plate calibration video will be appearing on the Phrozen website soon. Phrozen had kindly given me 2 bottles of their Aqua-Ivory 4K resin, and with this printer, 2 bottles are virtually a must. 1 bottle disappears quickly, and a second is needed to reach the max limit. I'd estimate it took 1.5 litres of resin to meet the mark. One critical thing I should mention, because of the length of this tray, a nice level surface is a must. My workbench isn't very level, so for testing I corrected with some cardboard wedges to prevent unwanted spillage. My USB stick came with a copy of ChiToBox 1.9 beta and appropriate Megasonic profile settings, which made me cringe a little. ChiToBox isn't my favourite slicer, and true to form, this beta version crashed my PC twice. Unfortunately, Phrozen tell me that ChiToBox is the only company that supports 8K printers at the moment. So for now at least, we have no choice. Hopefully Lychee and the others will get in on the act before long. So I repeated my efforts with ChiToBox and eventually had the Labs Town test print running on the Megasonic. And that's when I noticed another big thing. Boy, was it slow. It took 2 hours to print a file that, thanks to monochrome screens, I'm now used to printing in 20 minutes. But if you think about it, I guess it has to be slow. It's like all these holes in the plate. Why are they there? It's to reduce suction and stress on the plate. If you plunge a cup into a lake and pull it out, you barely feel a difference. But if you plunge a bucket into a lake, you feel the drag of the weight of the water. Now, I know this plate isn't a bucket, but it's still lifting the weight of the resin over a large area. And have you noticed there's no slope on this plate? To reduce material, they've kept it flat, so the holes are needed to shed excess resin as the plate rises. And the Z-arm is slow to accommodate the effort. Unfortunately, this means we have a monochrome printer operating at standard LCD speeds, and that's not fast. It's also worth mentioning that because it's flat, the plate never really sheds all the resin. So if you don't scrape the top first, there's a strong chance you'll make a hell of a mess when you try to remove it. So with my plate scraped and removed, I was thrilled to see a tiny speck in the centre. This meant my test print hadn't got sucked down one of those holes and had printed nicely. But that also got me wondering, will all these holes eventually clog with cured resin? I put this point to Phrozen and they assure me that they don't believe this will happen, and if it does, then it should be easily cleaned. I guess time will tell, but personally I'd recommend soaking the plate overnight in IPA after each use, just in case. People like a variety of colours, and Phrozen have answered this desire with this Aqua-Ivory, which does print very well, but for my eyes hides the detail. That's why I prefer grey. So I had a terrible time trying to prove on film that the test print had come out very well, and it really has, but I guess you'll just have to take my word for it. So this meant a proper print was in order, and I considered a monster size print. But realistically, a print like that would take several days. I then remembered the fabulous samurai type character on the Phrozen promo video. This turns out to be available pre-supported from Blackforge Games, and I'll place a link in the description. Taking advantage of the size of the plate, I was able to print all of the components of this model in one go, something that would have taken dozens of outings with the mighty 4K or vegoilguy Saturn this still took over 24 hours to print. Even though the layer exposure times are just 3 seconds, the speed of the Z-Rail meant everything took its sweet time. And when it was eventually finished, I was faced with a whole new set of challenges. The plate takes up a lot of room. I needed way more paper towels than normal, and even using the Anycubic Wash and Cure Plus to clean my prints, I had to clean the pieces in batches. I spent a whole day cleaning up this very cleverly supported and highly recommended model, and I was delighted with the results. There may be extra mess and extra steps, but the results speak for themselves. Even with this colour, the details shine through. The Megasonic 8K does not disappoint with its print quality. So what do I think of the Megasonic 8K? Well, it's excellent quality. All that solid metal gives you a sense of value. It really feels the part. Unfortunately, this adds to the weight of a very large machine. It takes up a large amount of worktop and at least as much cleanup area as well. Its sheer size is imposing and means that only professionals benefiting from mass production on that massive plate or serious amateurs will be likely to tackle it. It's ChiToBox only for a while at least, and that can affect workflow, as well as annoy the heck out of those that like to use other slicers. There's certainly no sign of the 2,000 hour guarantee which most companies seem to be offering on their monochromes, and that is upsetting. It's very slow, and whilst this may make practical sense, it's still annoying. If something goes wrong after waiting 30 hours or so, it surpasses annoying and becomes damned infuriating. The flat-topped plate holds resin even when finished, which could potentially lead to spills. The holes in the plate may become clogged and likely need maintenance to prevent this. And a big plate like this has a bigger tray, requires more resin to keep it primed, and ultimately leads to bigger and messier cleanups. But what do you expect? If you're looking at a bigger than most printer, you've got to expect the thirst and the cleanup issues. That's the nature of the beast. And one thing's for sure, this beast can print. The 8K resolution spread over that wide area doesn't quite give you the 4K equivalent compared to the Sonic 4K, but I don't think you'll notice the difference. Realistically, you'll be seeing Sonic 4K printing quality over a much wider space, allowing for multi-part prints and extra tall models that you've only dreamed of until now. So, is the Megasonic 8K a worthwhile purchase? If the size is right for you, I think you'll be delighted with it. I've got several mega prints planned for this mega printer, and the quality I've seen so far gives me confidence that these creations will be as impressive as the printer itself. I may film the odd one and share it with you folks, if you like that idea. So that's the end of this review, guys. As always, if you have any questions, just drop them below. So take care, guys, and thanks for watching.